Good morning, everybody. We're back. Day trading, the NQ on New York Open. How's everyone doing today? I see Thomas is in the chat. Good morning to you, Thomas. TM Cloud, good to see you again. Good morning. I'm going to get a screen up real quick. We're just about to open. Okie dokie. Cool. What a bullish move, right? Yesterday, Trump announced no tariffs on the EU. And the markets reacted instantly. That was that's why it's dangerous with it's dangerous when any news like that can come out, especially tariff related. Wow. I mean, look at that push we had yesterday. It was around, this is it right here. This is when Trump announced that there won't be EU tariffs, and the market went into bull mode. So in terms of what to expect today, very hard. We had the reaction of the news. Okay. Let's see if it continues going up, or if we just opened. Let's quickly zoom in, see what's crack-a-lacking. I'm just gonna up this to 24. There we go. All right, opened quite bearish, but the volume is not terrible. Let's see. Benjamin, good morning to you, or good evening even, sorry, to you. Using this cluster delta today. Awesome. Let me know how you get on with it. Wajid, good morning. Omar as well, good morning to you. Let's have a good trading day. Let me just change this to 1 minute. I don't know why I've got it on the 15-minute. Let's get some areas marked out. Do we have any areas? Whoops. What the hell is this volume profile? I did set it. Sorry, there's like a fly buzzing around here. It's very annoying. So if you see me do this, I'm just trying to shoo away a fly. All right. I'm going to do a volume profile from this little move up to see if there's any small gaps anywhere. Not the best. I guess I could call that a gap. It's not great though, but it's all it's a little bit on the crap side, but it's fine. I'll mark it out just in case. And there's another one there, and there's another one there, just so we got potentially some scalps if we get down there. And then up here, this is a nice longer term gap starting at 5752. So I kind of hope we get there, because that will be a good place to short. And we got very close to it, but we haven't quite got there, which is slightly annoying. On trading view, I have an area here. Why have I got this area? What is this? What have I marked out here? Is this a longer term gap? It is. Aha. Okay. So I've marked out this little gap in volume on trading view, which I didn't do on Project X. Okay. So I'm expecting potentially rejection in that area. And I think we just had it. I'm a bit late to the party. Oh, yeah. Bit of bullish momentum coming in. I'm going to leave it for a bit. I don't fully like it. I mean, we opened so... I don't know. Give it a few minutes. Let's see. I'm not going to jump in and chase the volume yet. I want to see what happens here, though. If these guys are serious about buying and pushing this market back up, because then I could potentially jump in for a trade. I'll drop it to 5 micros just in case. Nah, they're not really defending. The sellers are coming in quite strong. Let's see what happens in this gap area here. This is kind of more where I'd expect. The bulls are quite efficient at getting this market up. They used relatively small volume, but they managed to push it up a few points. But the sellers are definitely the more aggressive side. We've got, in terms of the cumulative, we're still quite flat. The open at 1.5. We're now again 1.5. We haven't really gone anywhere. It's a very flat market. So we'll see. Cluster Delta, but using their book map so far. So good. Excellent. Excellent, Benjamin. Daniel, hey Sammy, saw your video yesterday. Damn, do 2 seconds, but rather be safe than sorry. It could have gone the other way too. Yeah, that did annoy me a little bit, but hey, I still ended up green. So you can't really complain about profit, but yeah, missing money, leaving it on the table, hurts more than being stopped out. I always say that. Missing a move or missing a good. I do have a delay in my charts here again. I can see the two. Look, this is already bearish, and we're still bullish here. The Project X sucks, man. My God, they're just slow. Look at these sellers coming in. All right, they could be quite vulnerable here. These sellers, but they're good at pushing this market down. We got the first kind of little gap, but that's, like I mentioned earlier, it's not the best. So I'm not going to put too much weight on it, but it might be worth potentially buying if I see it touched it and it's already kind of rejecting, but I didn't really see any buy pressure come in. I mean, a small little bit. There's a bit of buy pressure coming in. Let's get back down there again and let's see what happened. Yeah, there's definitely a delay between Project X and TradingView. Always does this. Always does this. Why there's this freaking delay? It's not good, man. It's not good. I can't wait until I get my Ninja Trader or Tradeovate account, because I've been itching to, trade live again, but I'm just keeping my eye on this. I want to see what happens as we get above, if we get above that big cluster of sellers, sorry. But they're defending quite well, these sellers. They're not allowing it, but they're also struggling to kind of get it lower. So this is definitely an area where, there's going to be there's absorption happening. Look at that. The candle, we're like 4 seconds delayed, 3-4 seconds delayed here, which is slightly annoying. A bit of buy pressure coming in. Let me just load up my cash in case I want to take this trade. I just want to see a bit more. It doesn't look right yet to me. I don't know why. Something feels off. Maybe it is all right. Oh well, but it's fine. I really didn't think that area would hold too well, because it really isn't that great of an area. It's like a slight gap, but I wouldn't call it, like, oh yeah, this is a good. But we're getting back to that point of control. Maybe it's just a little. Yeah, we're starting. The sellers are coming back in at the point of control. I don't think that was a true move. That was just like a little push up from the buyers, but we'll see. Something didn't feel right with how. I can't explain it. It's almost like I don't know. It didn't feel right to me. Although technically we're above the sellers, aggressive buyers came in. That should be technically get in for a buy. And we're overall, recently it's been quite a bullish market. Something didn't feel right. I don't know what it is. News in 25 minutes. Yes, you're absolutely right. We have the, what is it called? I can't remember what it is, the price something, core PCE or something like that. Let me check. Yes, core PCE price index. There we go. So I want to be away from the market. Damn, that was the move. Damn. And it touched it to the T. This is the weird thing. Sometimes like you get these gaps, right? And this is a relatively, I mean, it doesn't look great, this gap, right? It is technically a gap, but it's, let's be honest, in terms of it really doesn't dip down that much in volume. You know, all the heavy volume, and then there's a bit of a dip and then a bit of an increase in volume. So it is a slight gap, but I didn't expect it to react that well. You know, normally the ones that react really nicely are the ones that are clear as day, the really obvious gaps. So that one, I got to say, surprised me that it actually, and it respected it so well, literally to the tick, and we shot away from it. But yeah, fair play. I mean, sometimes it is what it is, you know. Could have taken that trade, but it just, something in my gut was telling me no. I don't know why. Who knows? Get Ninja Trader. It's not big deal. It's not big deal. Get Ninja Trader. It's not big deal. Yeah, I think I'll go for Ninja Trader. We're just waiting for like the last, because you know, obviously for any firm that gets a platform, you got to go through all these processes and you got to pay the people who obviously make the platforms. You can't just use it for free. So all the deals and stuff has to you know, go through. And I just don't want to trade on DX futures. I don't like the platform. Some people like it. Personally, it's just not my favorite. So, and that's the only platform we have right now because Project X has been dropped. So I'm just using this essentially demo account on Project X. It's not, the money's gone on it. And the money's is either going to move to Ninja Trader or Tradeovate, but I want to try both of them out. And I also kind of want to get you guys' opinion, because it comes down to the live stream as well, you know, because I'll be in future either trading on Ninja Trader or Tradeovate. Which one would you prefer me to trade on? Would you rather see Ninja Trader or Tradeovate? So do let me know, and I'll take that into consideration. And yeah, I'll choose whichever one you guys prefer, really. Because from my understanding, both of them are pretty decent. I'll be happy with either one. It's not about the platform. There is the same issue also with NT8 if you are using Rhythmic. So the best deal is using NT8 plus CQG, which is Tradeovate. Gotcha. Okay. I use Ninja. It's great. I think Ninja looks more professional. Okay. It sounds like Ninja is kind of the one people want. So I'll tell them as soon as we have Ninja locked in and I can get the account, I'll request Ninja as the platform for myself. Sammy. Oh, there's another Sammy. Good to see you. What's your tick range and volume profile? Just the default, 24. 24 is the default. I leave it at 24. I think 24 is the default. I might be wrong, but yeah, I have it at 24. But you can play around with it. There's no kind of there's no right or wrong, really. But I like to have each node a bit bigger just so I can see like here's a nice gap, right? You can kind of just see how all the volume, this is a very nice gap. Large volume node, low volume node, and then high volume node, meaning at some point when this area was created, price, you know, there was heavy probably buying, and then it shot through, and then more heavy volume, and that's that kind of gap that gets created. So, oh, something's happening. Something's happening. Oh, that was that. It was that gap. So why did it look so rubbish on Project X? It looks good on TradingView. It's the same gap. It looks lovely on TradingView, but on Project X, it looks it looked rubbish. I was like, it doesn't really look that good. And the settings are the same, 24. I don't know. I really don't know. But yeah, that looked like a on TradingView. It looks really nice. On Project X, they looked rubbish. I thought I was a bit like, don't really like this gap. Okay, I'm gonna mostly use TradingView for most of the analysis. I feel Project X is just a little bit not as good. So I'm gonna trust what I see on TradingView more. Oh, it's MNQ, of course. You're absolutely right. It is MNQ. I'm using MNQ on Project X. See, sometimes my brain is it's just not switched on. But you're absolutely right, Con. It's MNQ, and that's why the gap looks different, because it's technically tracking a different instrument. Right. Okay. That's why. It wasn't Project X's fault. I take that back. Project X is fine. It was my fault. I was being an idiot. Sassy, you from which time you trade? I trade usually, well, this time, New York Open. So, and then sometimes a bit more later on as well. Kind of depends. But yeah, generally New York Open and beyond. Ninja Trader took me 5 days to get approved. Okay, nice. Just to be able to deposit, and even with debit card deposit, it takes 1 to 2 days on Ninja Trader. Really? Damn. But which is that? Because I believe they have their own brokerage as well, Ninja Trader. I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that. But is that due to their brokerage? Because I know like futures broker, like the broker I'm with, it took freaking ages to get all that sorted. Because then obviously you got the whole KYC stuff. That's pretty standard. But then you got to send you still have to. I have to send all the money from my bank account to the financial clearinghouse. Iron Beam is the one I use, and that always takes like 3 days to arrive. So it takes like a good 2 weeks from once you sign up to actually being able to trade. It took at least 2 weeks, and that's if you're quick with it. Oh, look at this. Look at this. This is beautiful. Okay, this is definitely an area I really want to keep my eye on if we ever go back here. This is extremely nice. Look at all that buy volume that came in. We closed bearish, right? Completely, my God, those buyers absolutely failed. That's a failure. If you've ever seen a failure of trying to push the market up, that's it right there. That is an extremely good failure. And look at these heavy sellers now coming in. This is a true, oh, that's rare to see. I mean, we're talking 400 contracts in one little area, another 100 above, and we're still bearish. That's quite rare to see. You don't see that every day. That's really nice. So I'm definitely I'm going to set an alert even on that area, because if we kind of bounce back into it, I can definitely imagine there's going to be a lot of defensive play here, and we'll push down again. Because that's think about it, 450 aggressive buyers came in. That means in the book at around 25,647 somewhere, some massive sell passive sell limit was executed, and then the aggression was added right after to get that market down. That is definitely institutional. Yeah, this is gonna damn. That was that's rare to see. Still, Project X is trash. Project X risk tools are OP though. Yeah, their risk tools are good. Being able to lock out, I commend them for that. That is a genius thing to have. Trying to use them, yes, that's it. Their own brokerage. Trying to use them as a broker. Nice. Yep, same with NT. Yeah, I think that's just futures in general. Because you got to remember, a lot of forex brokers are B book as well, And Forex is, for the most part, kind of unregulated. It's regulated, but it's unregulated. Do you know what I mean? Um, like CFDs are kind of unregulated products. Like there's regulation in, like, I don't know, Cayman Islands or whatever, like, where they're all registered. But I'm not saying that, if you made money on a Forex broker, you wouldn't get your withdrawal or anything. No, not at all. There's obviously 100% legit ones. But it's a bit more of a cowboys market, Forex brokers. CFDs are not CFDs, sorry, futures is like the broker never even touches your money, you know, in futures. You send it to a financial clearinghouse, they sort all that out. So the broker can't, they're just connecting you with the exchange and take their cut. So whether you win or lose, the broker gets paid. They really don't care. Whereas there are many Forex brokers out there that are B-book, and you deposit, it goes into their account, and they just take the opposite side of the trade. And a lot of the time, it doesn't even go live. You don't even get pushed into the live market. And so their interest is for you to fail, because that's the only way they get paid. So you got to be careful of those B-book brokers. But that's why they make it so easy to deposit, get your account in 5 minutes. You can deposit, $10, start an account, because, that's money in their pocket. I use, I can't mention that name, but I read it. I use that, and they take 5 working days for a deposit to be credited to your account. Yep. That is it. That is it. Medi is long at 25,600. 25,600. Okay, well, hopefully it works out. Let's see. I can imagine there will be a pullback at least in these areas. But since I spotted, this thing here, what happened here, that's kind of locked me in to be a bit more bearish. I think if we come back in there and there's still interest, and those, that seller is still in the market, I think that could be an interesting area to short. So I kind of hope we kind of drift back up into that, Get a trade in. Let's get a trade in. But yeah, we sold off very, very nicely. But I can imagine a lot of people are going to be buying the dip, so there is going to be that buy pressure in the market. I'm kind of 50-50 on the bias today, because, we pushed up because of the whole tariff. Trump cancelled the tariffs basically on Europe. So that was the initial move up. But there is still, it doesn't underline, there's still that kind of bearish sentiment in the market, and it has been for a while. So was that bearish sentiment purely down to the looming tariffs? Who knows? Or was it, something bigger? People believing, stocks are overbought, AI bubble, all that kind of stuff. There's a lot of, the whole economy as a whole in the US. Bit of positive news doesn't necessarily mean it will have a reaction, but it doesn't necessarily mean it will stick, So this is kind of actually a very important day in terms of the market. Will it stick? Will, good news from the tariff related front, will that translate to actually, sticking and start really pushing up and become a bullish market again? If not, it will just resume back into how it was before that news came out, essentially. So let's see what happens here. I'm going to bump this up a little bit, get these clusters a bit bigger, see a little bit more detail. They really do want to sell, don't they? I want a little bit more. We're testing the other side of that gap. Where is this area? Where there's 400? That's 641. Let me mark it out here, 641, so I can see if that lines up to anything. 641 is kind of at the top there. I mean, it could certainly touch it and then, but then again, they'll start defending earlier on as well. So they might start defending here. It doesn't have to go to their entry for the defensive play to start kicking in. Does that make sense? They can start defending early, which might be around here. Okay, I'm gonna gear up to potentially short now. Let me just get the cash account up. Ooh. I want to see if, all right, that's loaded up. Perfect. I want to see if there is, what happens here. If I see something quite interesting, I will potentially jump in for a short. I just want to see what these sellers are doing. The sellers are still getting, they're coming in a bit aggressive. They're reloading their positions, but the buyers are still able to kind of, get above them, which is not great for, but we just want to see a little bit more on the sell side. What kind of range are we looking at here? 32 points. Yeah, okay. I need to probably drop the size a bit. Ah, shit. Look at that. They came in so quick. These absolutely. They freaking defended that super quick. I missed it. Again, this is what I hate about the Open, man. It's so freaking quick. If you all look at that aggression coming in. You bastard. You absolute bastard. It's fine. New York Open recently has been hectic, man. By the time you spot the trade, boom. You spend a few too many seconds, over analyzing and thinking, and boom, the trade is gone. But yeah, you're right. News in 4 minutes. So either way, I would have to pretty much be exiting now anyway. But that would have been a nice little scalp at least. But it's good. This is why a lot of times I if you watch the earlier videos, I used to front run a lot, and I do still tend to front run on prop accounts because you want to catch the move. And a lot of the time, if I just see that kind of absorption happen, I'll front run it to ensure I get the move. And I'm happy taking, hits along the way, getting stopped out when I'm wrong, because obviously you're going to be wrong a lot more often if you're front running. But I'm happy to take those hits. But I was told basically from Ola Prime, it can look like you're gambling a bit if you're front running. So they asked me not to do it on the live anymore. So I was like, fair enough. I'll be a bit more patient on the live, and because I don't want to, we don't want to. It's not gambling, but people can see it as gambling. Do you know what I mean? If you're jumping in without full confirmation, people can see that. Oh, that could be viewed as gambling. So I totally get it. So I was asked not to do that anymore. But yeah, that was they defended a bit earlier, a bit lower down than expected, but that's definitely institutional activity right there. I mean, it's rare you see it. I'm telling you now, like very, very rare you see that candle there alone. Just a sheer fact of how many buyers there are, and I mean, even if you're just a candlestick guy, right? That's a candlestick pattern, right? It's like a shooting star. I don't know all the names. And then put that on top of the fact that if you look at the volume, what an insane move right there. That's definitely oh shit, what have I done? What have I done? Is it back to what am I doing? Sorry, I think I moved something. Oh no, it's all back to normal. I'm just gonna okay. I think I think the sell-off is legit based on that those sellers that came in. I mean, the order. I wish I would have seen it on the order book. It probably was visible. It probably would have looked like maybe you could see it on the replay, but I wasn't looking at the depth of market at the time. I wonder if when that was executed, it was actually, if it was an iceberg or if it was literally all in one go, because that's a huge chunk, and the reaction was instant. It was an instant reaction. It wasn't. I mean, they definitely entered passively because the fact that it showed up as buyers, that means it was sellers passively entering, but it was literally one chunk order, boom, executed in one go. Essentially, it wasn't broken up into loads of little bits and kind of drip fed into the market. But yeah, you can definitely see that sell pressure building up. Now, normally this would be dangerous for the sellers, but again, considering the fact I know there's a seller right there who's put a lot of size into the market and they're going to defend that area. They have successfully already defended once, so you know they're serious about this move. So for me, it is definitely more on the short side. I think the news has just come out. Let's see what the figures are. Let's refresh. It's still pending on my end. Bit of news. It's completely flat. Exactly as forecasted. So no upset, nothing. Not a huge reaction. Bit wicky, but nothing terrible. Charis, good to see you. Good to see you, Charis. My God, look at these. These sellers they basically want to undo everything that happened yesterday. Trump's, tariff, stopping the tariffs in the EU. I think they're back into, short mode. By the looks of it, because this is a lot of selling. Sandy, unfortunately, I don't trade silver at all. Never have done in my life. I don't think I've even opened up a silver chart before. Never traded silver. Okay, so the game plan now would be wait for a pullback. Wait for a decent pullback. I'm going to mark out any areas that might look good on the chart where I can imagine, a pullback could occur. So let's do a volume. Let's update this volume profile to take the whole upward move. And I can get rid of these areas for now because they're probably going to match up with bigger areas anyway. So, and now I can update all the little gaps that were created and are still in play. I'm going to clone them and draw them all out because all these areas I expect reactions from the bulls where potential pullbacks can occur if we are on a trend day. If we're ranging, which we're not, then we could potentially just bounce between the two different areas. So the next area we are approaching, if we can get down to this level, I can imagine there might be a bit of a pullback at some point, and then a continuation down. Where that continuation will occur, I can figure that out by doing a volume profile to the downside, right? And you can see there's a little, we'll measure out any of the little gaps. So there's like a minor gap there. So if we kind of, pull back into that gap, that could be a potential. It depends how shallow these pullbacks are, right? If they're a bit bigger and the buyers are a bit more aggressive, then it could go higher, maybe to that one. But that's where that big seller came in. That's got it's going to be defending their position. So I doubt it will go that high again. So I can imagine they'll defend, or more sellers will come in back into this area if we come down. I'm hoping that's basically the plan. I'm hoping this would happen. And I want to enter there for a short. Okay, so that's the game plan. That is the game plan. Let's hope it works out. Let's hope it does what it does. I mean, there's a ton of sellers. What is interesting in the footprint right now, look how much sell volume has come in, but we haven't actually pushed down. That means there is a buyer as well absorbing in the book here. So this whole area here is definitely an iceberg. I mean, there's no way you have all this sell volume. Like, we started at negative 3.8. We're basically at negative 5. That's 1,200 extra sell contracts came in, still struggling to push it down, but there's no aggressive buyers, right? As a whole. I mean, there's obviously going to be some aggressive buyers, but they're not really, without aggressive buyers, we're not really going to push up. We need to see aggressive buyers come in to get that push up, right? But if aggressive buyers were to come in, they could probably get this market up a bit, because the seller, because they're backed up by essentially passive buyers in the book, creating a wall here. So there's a bit of aggression slowly coming in, but the sellers are selling into it. It's relatively small, but you see sellers are still selling into it. Every time the number goes a bit higher on the buy side, boom, it drops again. Look at that, we're back down to 36, started at like 130 or something. So the sellers are still very aggressive at putting it in. But I think this could be the beginning of our pullback here. Because I think a lot of these sellers, here we go, bit of aggression coming in. This could be the beginning of our pullback. So I want to see if we can get back to that high. Not that high, but you know what I mean. That area there. And we did have a bit of we already did have a rejection in that gap. So that kind of cements again that this is not a bad area. So come on, let's get up there so we can short this damn market. Because I don't want to short where everyone else is shorting and failing to get the market down. But considering how much volume they are putting in, how long can these buyers in the book hold off these sellers? That's the other question you're now going to ask, right? It's been a while. Sellers are still coming in. They're not, they're not laying off. They're not exhausted. They're happy to keep selling. They are going to overwhelm these buyers eventually, right? Like, there's only so many contracts whichever buyer in the book can actually absorb. And if they get overwhelmed, then this will break down. But I'm not going to bet on that, but they're going to overwhelm them. Because I feel a pullback can also very likely occur. But yeah. Here we go. Maybe we get a pullback now. Maybe. Just going to keep updating this gap as we create it. Oh, look at that. Look at that gap created when they defended that area. Beautiful. That was a beautiful move. That whole play there on the footprint was beautiful. All this area. It's rare you get to see it so nicely. Yeah, it's very volatile. Are you talking about silver, Sandy? Man, yeah, the sellers aren't giving up either. Look at that, just keep adding more and more. We're now at 5.3. We started this range at 3.8 at the bottom here. Negative 3,800 to the sell side. Now we're at 5.4. Man, almost 2,000 contracts additional to the sell side, and they're still adding more and more. Because half my, it's a tough one. Like, technically, I would be willing to buy, just because look how the sellers are failing to get it down, and they're adding so much size. How many more contracts is it going to take for them to actually break through here? Because you've got to give credit to these buyers passively. They're holding these sellers back. 2,000 contracts couldn't push them down. Do you know what I mean? But the sellers aren't stopping either. They're not giving up. Normally, after a thousand contracts or so, they kind of give up and say, "All right, I don't think this iceberg is breaking yet," and they kind of lay off a bit. It kind of retraces, pushes back, and then they jump back in at a better price and push that market down and eventually break through. But the sellers are adamant to not allow the buyers to take over. So they're just adding more and more size. So it really is a coin flip. It really is a bit of a coin flip right now. What if you start seeing, for example, if you start seeing sellers laying off, right, and you're not seeing bigger numbers coming in aggressively from the sellers, then you know that they're exhausting themselves, right? And you know they're kind of okay, giving up a bit. They're no longer really interested in trying to break through here, at least for now. And then you see, a bit of buy pressure come in, and the buyers are able to push it up a bit. Then, all right, you can go in for that buy. But be very careful as you get a bit higher, because these sellers are clearly very eager to sell, right? They're very happy to jump back in. Even if we push up a little bit, they'll probably want to jump back in again and get this market down. Only because they're not lose interest in selling here doesn't mean that they've lost interest in selling as a whole. They'll probably want to sell a bit higher up again. So we'll let this area play out. Look at that, aggressive buyers coming in, but they are more efficient. This is the first kind of candle with serious a bit of buy volume coming in. They're doing a lot better than the sellers. But look at that. They were all at, over 100. Look at that. We're back down to 13, small numbers, negative 30. The sellers are still selling into it. They are obsessed right now. They're not giving up. And I think it's something to do with that seller who came in here, that started the initial move right there. This big institution that came in, still see him on the footprint. For anyone who's just joined, these guys right here who absorbed all those buyers, came in aggressively, pushed that market down. On the pullback, they again defended nice and early, pushed the market down. I think it's probably related to them, because they've obviously got a lot of money. They can keep adding and stop any pullback, and that's kind of what they're trying to achieve here. I am eyeing previous week high. The previous week high. Let's have a look. 1 week. Oh God, look at the footprint on the previous week high. All the way up here. If I place a buy limit, it would be at 25,486. 486. Okay, gotcha. Yeah, I mean, if you look like even on the weekly, we're just clearly in a range. So if we get to these highs again, good chance we're just going to rotate back down, right? Come on. It's gone a bit boring here. Look at that. We're at 5.8. That means now 2,000 extra sell contracts have come in, still haven't pushed this market down, but they're not laying off. They're still coming in quite strong. They're slowly starting to lay off a bit, actually. You're seeing the numbers reduce slightly, right? Like if you look near the beginning, 300, 155, 270, 169, 135, 236, 247, 100, another 130, another 200. And now slowly in the last few minutes, the numbers aren't that big. So they're probably giving up a bit now, the sellers. They're realizing, maybe it's not ready just yet. So if buyers come in a bit aggressively, they'll probably have more of a clear path to push this market up a bit as a pullback, which I believe might be happening now. There we go. So as soon as that sell pressure lets off, it's a bit easier for the market to move up until they come back in again. And they're still coming back in right at the top. My, oh my. But the numbers are a bit smaller. I say that, and then another 100 got printed. They're coming back in aggressively again. They barely allowed it to go up. My God, it's definitely that institution. They're not. Then they don't want it go. They must have a lot of risk on the table here. They do not want it to go up any higher. They are adamant to get this market down. But there is a lot of passive buyers here. My God. They've absorbed 2,000 additional sell contracts. Unless you could read it another way. What could potentially be happening is these could be take profits, right? It depends how you read it. I mean, I would be less inclined to believe that's what's happening. But think about it. Anyone who sold here, especially near the open, and made all this, they could be passively exiting with take profits, right? And because it will be a buy limit order, their take profit. Anyone, it will show up as a market order on the sell side, right, on the footprint. So it could be these passive buyers could be sellers taking profit. That can also be the situation. But you got to ask, does that make sense? I guess it can make sense. We've had a decent push down on the open. Maybe they're a bit more cautious and not looking for massive moves, but that could be the issue. I mean, that could be what's happening. And that seller who came in there, they're already out the market now. They've unloaded their positions. That could be it. But we'll have to see what happens. Okay, we're kind of coming back into this area now. Let's see if there's defensive play. Looks like we're having Gary says, looks like we're having a consolidation on previous value area low. Also see some bullish divergence in market cipher. Chances of this going up are good. Yeah, I mean, in terms of the volume, I agree. Normally, I would say absolutely. If the sellers can't push it down here, there's a big amount of passive buyers. The only thing that's got me a little bit more still to be more on the bearish side is this. I've seen very rarely do you see something as extreme as that. Yeah, they defended really well in that area. Look at that. Exactly as I thought would happen. And that's kind of cemented again that these sellers there is still that big seller in the market. Where I thought they might defend, they've come in aggressively again and pushed this market down. So I think they're still very much in the market. I don't think that's take profits. I think they're very much in the market still. And they are adamant at pushing this down even more. But let's see if they can break through this iceberg eventually. Because look at that. Again, to the T, they defended it. All these little areas, they defended here perfectly. They defended here again. And they want to break through here. So we had the first little move. Let's see if we can come back to it. Maybe I can actually get the entry this time. But now we're seeing some serious buy aggression actually coming in. This is a decent chunk of buyers right here, and they've managed to do it without really getting absorbed near the bottom. So this is the first kind of buyers. You've managed to do something, but let's see if the sellers allow it to go any higher. Barcode. Not sure what you mean by barcode. Oh, barcode. I got it. The candles look like a barcode. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I like that saying, barcode. Where G says it's a sell till 480 to 500, whereas oops, what have I done? 480 to 500. Let's have a look. 480 is all the way down there. So basically, the low, I think. Yeah, these lows here. Yeah, I can imagine it will take out the lows. I'm still pretty confident we're going to go down. But I would, before I short it, I either want to short it on a pullback, or if we genuinely properly break this iceberg, because then I think the buyers will give up and let it drop for a bit before buying again. Because there is an iceberg here in the order book holding a lot of sell pressure. So I don't really want to bet against, you don't want to sell into a lot of passive buyers. But I do agree. I do think we're going down. Value area low became point of control, and new value area low is at Asia low and second low standard deviation of VWAP, pointing to 25,486 support. Let's have a look. 25,486. So around here somewhere. Yeah. Just like what Wajid said as well. Yeah, I would kind of. Oh, we're back in that area. Sorry. Zoom in. Zoom in. Let's see if they can defend again. They defended once, but they're... All right, I'm really going to keep my eye on the footprint here. Let me get my cash account. Okay. I am ready for a trade. 93. Not seeing them come in yet. 100, 130. Drop back down to 100. Bit of buying, a bit of selling, but the buyers are still happy to transact. Buyers are still quite strong. 215. Back to 190, 200. We're at 99, 200. Buyers are coming in very aggressively now. 154, 148, back to 127. I'm not seeing any major drops. Bit of absorption, but nothing. 300. Buyers are coming in super hard, super heavy. 250. They're really... I think some of those sellers are dropping out the market as well. I think it's getting a little bit, a lot of people who sold in this range here are probably getting a little bit worried and are dropping out the market. So I think a lot of those contracts were, basically to break out the range. Come on, a bit of sell pressure, but it's not a lot. They're not really that effective. 182. Couldn't really get below them. 150, 180. Buyers are still reloading. Yeah, this is a lot of sellers dropping out. It's not ready yet. Not ready yet. So we're probably going to keep going up a little bit more of a pullback, a bit more of a deeper pullback, which is good. That means more profit potentially on the move down. 57. Starting to slowly die off a bit, but nothing major. Nothing yet. Sellers have, I wouldn't say given up necessarily, but they're letting it drift up a bit. They haven't really... Okay, they're coming in a bit. A few sellers coming in here and there, but it's not fully ready yet. 94, 130, 127, 116. Oh, that's not terrible. This would be a bit of a front run type trade, but I almost don't want to miss it. So I may front run it here. Yeah, okay, I'm going to front run. There's a good chance that buyers can still push up a bit higher, but I'm going to front run it in case this is the where the sellers start. But I would need sellers to come below here aggressively. There they are. So I'm glad I front runned it, because by the time it happened, it already moved. But now we're obviously, oops, shit. Now let's see if we can actually, get below this range. Otherwise, I'm gonna have to get out if the buyers just come back in at the bottom here. Do you know what I mean? Then obviously there's no. I want to see if the sellers come on. Can we finally break it? Really dropped off. Come on. I think sellers can finally break this area. Those sellers are still very much in the market. I can target a bit lower, even though that is a gap. So I'm expecting buy pressure to come in here. I've got my finger on flatten in case, again, bottom of the range buyers just come back in. They're coming in now, 140, 130. Let's see if we can get below them. Always trade below the buyers. Trade below the buyers. That's what you want. Okay, they're dropping down a bit, back to 44. Come on, don't allow them. Come on, sellers. No one wants to sell at the bottom of the range as well. So that's why it's a bit of the volume drops off on the sell side a bit, because no one wants to short at the bottom of a range, especially a clear range like this. Look at these buyers trying to come back in. This might be, it might fail. I'd rather take it. The sellers just weren't coming in again. Bottom of the range, it just weren't coming in. What can you do? If I feel they could have broken it, if they just came in heavy here, I feel they could have actually broken that. But all right, didn't quite work out. Maybe they'll come in a bit higher up, especially these aggressive sellers. But sadly, on that one, I had to front run it, because you saw what happened there, right? By the time we got below those buyers, this candle happened so quick. It moved so quick. By the time you saw it, you were already down here and you would have missed a move. So around, when the market's very volatile like this, you have to sadly front run. But you can easily get stopped out, because you're not waiting for any kind of confirmation, but then you're too late to the party when the market's too quick. So, and because you're dealing against, algorithms as well, these things that can move at superhuman speed. We as retail traders, we're on the back foot. So occasionally you've got to front run and scale in as it starts going more in your favor. But let's say hypothetically, we did break this range here. Sellers came in heavy again, and we actually finally broke the range. Then you can add a bit more size to it. And all right, now we've got a bit more, bit more room for an extension down. But they gave up. They gave up at the bottom of the range. What can you do, right? Let's see what the chat says. Check my levels on ESNQ, Microsoft, Bitcoin. Dude, I'm gonna you come into my chat every time, man, and you just promote your own stream. So unfortunately, I'm gonna have to remove you. I've asked you many times, dude. Don't promote your stuff in my stream. G-Man, 55 watching and a few likes. Give this man some love. Appreciate it. Yeah, if you guys can like, that always helps out. That does help out. Eric Lake. Awesome stuff, Eric. You're up 1,600. Eric rakes it in, Lake, as he's known. 65 of us and only 13 likes. Show some love. Appreciate it. Thank you. Our only chance of going down now is hitting VWAP from underneath. Let me switch on the VWAP so I can actually see where it is. Okay, yeah, I can absolutely see that happening, because that kind of lines up as well to the area where I expect, again, sellers to come in, but they just failed. There's breaking this level here is going to take a lot more sell aggression. more than we've already had. Um, but they're adamant. These sellers are still adamant. They're not giving up. They're happy to keep putting size in the market, right? They let it drift up a bit, and then they come in again and come in again, and that's why we're getting this nasty kind of choppy up and down market. Both sides are very stubborn. Let's just put it that way. Anchored v. What by Brian Shannon is amazing read. Someone recommended that to me. It might have been you, Eric, actually, but someone did recommend that to me at one point. I need to get around to reading it. Thomas, that's a very nice dinner at a fancy restaurant. Great trade. It is. Thank you, Thomas. Thank you. Fatty, good to see you. How are you? Let's see if sellers come back in here. Now, notice this gap has been well and truly filled. It's no longer a gap. So I'm going to get rid of it. I'm going to get rid of this. So now I would expect a bit more higher up, potentially a pullback, if sellers allow it. But look, again, the seller's trying to come in aggressively. It's the same play, up and down. But they're not as effective as they were before. If you're actually looking what's going on here, they've come in again, but there's no real follow through. So this is the first sign where the sellers have kind of given up, quote unquote. Do you know what I mean? They've given up a little bit now. So that would lead me to believe that if we drift up a bit higher, they're probably more happy to jump in at a higher price now, the sellers. Because I think they finally realized they're not breaking this area just yet. So if we drift up a bit higher, that's our next area. So we just got to wait. Because they're kind of giving up now a bit. There's a few of them coming in. You can see 120 here, but it wasn't like it was before on the last few rotations when it just boom came in really heavy, pushed that market down, and then just gave up near the bottom. So it's slowly changing its behavior. They're still trying, but look at that. Buyers are happier to buy a bit lower, bit higher up now. I wouldn't be surprised if we get back into the middle of the range, buyers come in a bit strong, and then push this market up back to here. That's going to be my guess. What's going to happen? Because the sellers aren't happy to really come in hard anymore. So I think kind of near the middle of the range, I think buyers are more happy to transact and go in aggressively. So I would be surprised if we wouldn't be surprised, sorry, if we just kind of get into the middle, and then it creates that kind of typical structure where it's like that. Because G-Man, I didn't know TradingView had volume footprint before I saw you. I need to study up on that and hopefully can add some more skill to this. It's strange. A lot of people don't know. I mean, it's weird because TradingView, they came out with it about a year and a half ago. And I remember getting the email, their promotional email, now volume footprint. And at the time I was trading Sierra charts. And obviously I still had TradingView because TradingView was great, just for general charting because it's such a clean platform, right? And just to look at any, you want to know the price of any asset, TradingView is kind of the go-to platform, right? To look at any chart from stock, crypto, whatever, futures, forex, anything, it has it. So it's great, and it's really good for the phone as well. You can just check it on the move. It's beautiful. And then they said, yeah, we got volume footprint in the email, and I was like, I'm intrigued. So I bought it. I checked it out, and at the time it wasn't that great. It was very new, and they've slowly been adding more features. It is still a very stripped down version. You can't have two columns, for example. Most order flow, software or charting providers, they allow you to have double columns, so you can have the delta on one side, the ask and bid on the other, or whatever. But I feel all that stuff will come in. Do you know what I mean? And okay, it's happening as I thought. Buyers were more happy to transact there and probably push it up near the middle of the range. So let's see what happens now as we approach the next area where I can imagine the sellers are going to want to defend. Let's see if they come in aggressively. We have an opportunity to sell again potentially. Look at those buyers again coming in. Bit of sell pressure coming in, but nothing. We're hitting that VWAP now. Come on, nothing yet. Again, it might be one of those where you're going to have to front run it. There's a big chunk of sellers, but they got absorbed very quick. Sellers coming in again. May have to front run it. And, because if it happens so quick like it did before, I'm just going to wait until I see something a little bit clearer. All right, there's a big chunk of buyers. I'm going to actually load up the cash account because I haven't taken a single trade on the cash account yet. 260 trapped. I'm going to front run that 260 at the top, expecting that they might be trapped. So this is the first front running. Hopefully it works out. Should I get in the cash on this? Back to 300. Essentially, if we go above the 300, these buyers here, I'll get out. But I'm front running again. So there's no real confirmation, but this is going to go down, apart from the fact that buyers could potentially be trapped in an area of interest. And I'm expecting sellers to come in aggressively as we're below those buyers. That's the only logic right now. So I wouldn't normally recommend front running, but I'm doing it because I feel like by the time the move happens, it happens and you'll miss it. So I've got my finger on flatten regardless. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But the sellers aren't coming in yet. Come on. But at the same time, they're not allowing. We're getting above them slowly. Come on. Sellers, you have to come in now. They're coming in a bit, but it's not aggressive enough. The volume's not there. I need to see bigger numbers. Come on, sellers. But they're holding them off a little bit, which is good. All right, little bit of aggression now. 100. I want to see a bit more. I want to see that true, aggression we had earlier, where it just kind of boom, and you got that speed in the market. That's what I want to see. There we go. 197, a bit better, 200. So we have a bit more time to react on this one, which is nice. But if the buyers, we need more though. If we really want to push this down, we're going to need more because buyers are very, very interested in buying. And they're getting absorbed because this number isn't changing, right? We're stuck at 260 something and we're not going any lower, meaning that was all passive absorption there. Not aggressive absorption, but passive absorption. Look at that. Sellers are still adding more into it. Okay, there's an iceberg right here in the book. With 300 contracts in, and it wasn't moving. There was no aggressive buyers coming in, but there's on that level, wherever it was, 616, in the book, there is a buyer absorbing passively. So if they come in aggressively, that's dangerous for us. Come on. Don't come in aggressively. Come on, sellers. Just need to add more size. Where's that big seller in the market? Where are you? Protect your position, God damn it. Come on. Nah, it's not looking good. It's not looking good. Again, if we go above here, I'm going to get out. Come on. Because those sellers are potentially trapped. We're trading above them. It's not nice. I need to see more aggression from the sell side. We're literally at the point. Nah. Unless sellers come in now, 36. Unless that jumps to a bigger number, I'm going to hit flatten. Okay, come on. 19, 14. I need to see bigger numbers. Holding them back a bit, but it's not really working out yet. 60, 56. Come on, add size. 100, a bit better. Okay, I'll hold off for a second. But we're not actually getting it down. That means they're getting absorbed passively. It's not going to work out. I'm going to get out. Not yet, at least. Not yet. Oh, wow. So many messages. So many chats. I am going to keep my eye on this area because I do think it will happen. I think that seller is still in the market, most likely. They haven't come in yet. They haven't come in. Maybe there. Maybe I was a bit too quick to jump out. I think I was too quick, but we still have an iceberg at the bottom here from the buy side that might not work out. So, but there's the bit more aggression there, 100, 100, 100, which is a bit nicer. So, I'm going to read some of the comments though, real quick. Let's see what you guys are saying. Hi, Sammy. I used a 5-minute and get higher win rate. What do you think? 5 minutes is great, actually. 5 minutes great. It's a bit slower, obviously. But yeah, 5 minute on the footprint. A lot of people will say that the 5 minutes better, but it comes down to your personal kind of preference, really. A lot of the time, yeah, I mean, play around with it, see what you like better. The 5 minute can be a bit clearer though, many times, but then sometimes the 1 minute gives you that kind of bit more precision. So it's more personal preference, but you can do both. All right, I'm going to jump in again. I'm going to front run it a little bit more because I'm hoping these sellers can hold off and come in with aggression again. It's still very much a valid area. I am expecting them to come in. Yes, buyers are absorbing them, but until we break that iceberg here at the bottom, until then, I won't really feel super comfortable. I want to get below this area here, below this iceberg where we just couldn't break through. But I'm going to front run it a bit because I feel as I talk and all of a sudden I'm going to miss it and it's just going to shoot down and that'll be a bit annoying. So what were we saying? The volume fixed profile should be a pay tool. Yeah, it absolutely should. Oh, what's happening here? The volume profile, like I would say, is probably the best tool for trading because even if like you can trade just with the volume profile, you don't actually need. Okay, the footprint helps, but I had to choose. If you put a gun to my head and said you got to choose either the volume profile. Damn, these buys came in hard. All right, didn't work out. But back to what I was saying. If I had to choose, like you could either have the volume profile or the footprint. I think I would choose the volume profile just because it gives you the areas. Do you know what I mean? Whereas the footprint, it's good for more entries, but the volume profile kind of like I could trade with just the volume profile. I don't know. It's almost 50-50. It's hard. Both are very useful. But you're right. The volume profile is such a good tool. I've been buying premium trading with you for a few years, but yeah, this is awesome the way you can see it. Absolutely. Just one thing though, G-Man, is make sure you subscribe to the CME data feed. Okay. If you go to like tradingview.com, scroll right to the bottom, there'll be like a what's it say? Like CME futures data, something like that. It will say CME group futures. Click on that. It's about $10 a month, and then you will actually get the live data. And then it will obviously only work with any instrument that says CME or COMEX if you're doing gold and stuff. But yeah, and then you're good to go, essentially. Do you think it's a potential reversal trade? Reversal as in we're going reversal of this down move, or reversal as this, because technically it depends how you see it, because we have been bullish since last night, ever since the whole tariff decision, right? So technically, is this do you mean the reversal as in we're going back down, or are we talking just this little move down now and this is a reversal back up? Let me know which reversal you mean. Done for the day. Good luck all. Have a great day, Sammy. I'll watch this later. I get it. Awesome. Have a good one, G-Man. Kudiali, how do you use the volume profile from top to bottom per session? I need to catch up with all these messages. So essentially what I do is I just draw it on legs, right? So we have a leg down. I'll draw the volume profile from the top of the leg to the bottom. And then I'm marking out any kind of gaps in volume within that leg. Okay, I think I'll do a proper video on how I do it, but I pretty much explain it in every live stream. So if you watch any of the live streams, there's been many times I've gone over it in quite a lot of depth. But I just need to catch up with all these messages. 637 mid of opening move. Chris is buying, although risky. I'm biased to upwards. Good stuff. Yeah, no, it's absolutely valid to buy right now. The sellers have dropped off. They gave up, essentially. They wanted to push it down. They were very aggressive. They couldn't. They're giving up. So do I think the sellers can still push it down if they come in like they did earlier? Absolutely, they could. But as right now, they're just not interested, the sellers. And it's all mostly green. It's all mostly buying. So all good until that changes. So I'm going to keep my eye on it. I think this level here could, again, here's a bit of sell pressure coming into the market. Next change of rejection and go down is at 25,672, 25,689, 672. So just at the top here. Yeah, I can see that happening. Absolutely, I can see that happening. I'm a little confused why I've got this area marked out. Oh, this is where that original seller came in. I just realized, yeah, we're literally at that spot. Let's see if there's no defense here at all, then it means that they, what do you call it? They're out the market, essentially. So where was it? I'm just going to draw an actual hard line so I can see it exactly where it is. Yeah, there was no real, sell pressure. I think they're out the market. That original seller that pushed the market down, I think they're out. They're not in the market anymore. They don't seem to have any real interest in shorting. Like I would have expected, if they were still in their position, they would, like, you would see some kind of, aggression come in, but we really didn't have much. So I think they're out. I agree. The volume profile helps me a lot. You never show your early prime dashboard. This is not even a real account right now. Intel. And we're moving over to Trader8 and Ninja Trader. I'm just waiting for, this is literally demo. I could full port this. This means nothing right now. But I do show, like, the only account I have now that is live is my cash account. I'm waiting for Ninja Trader. We're probably going to be the next week or so. There's a bit of a delay. But yeah, it's how it is. But on Instagram, I show occasionally my cash account on the stories, but I can't show broker names. Okay. So stick along with us. Soon I'll have the Ninja Trader. I think Ninja Trader is what everyone wants. And then, yeah, Chris, Sammy, if you remember that book I mentioned from the Fathers of Volume. Yes, I remember it. Yeah. The guy says that the market is divided between MGI, market generated information, and momentum, which you can measure directly with footprint charts. That's very interesting. All is lagging info. Momentum is a leading indicator. Very, very interesting. I need to read that book. I have it. I think I took a picture. Yeah, I took a picture of the chap of the book's name and everything. So I do have it. I need to order it and actually read it. Reversal going up. Yeah, look, it could be, or it could. Oh, look at this. Those sellers are coming in. I mean, they are defending. Maybe they were a bit higher up than originally anticipated, but they're coming in aggressively as they allowed it to drop a little bit, but they're coming in very aggressively again, these sellers. Freaking hell, they did defend. I thought that was over. I thought they're out the market, truth be told. Unless there's other participants expecting it. Because they all came in, this whole candle is really the area, right? And they would have come in somewhere within there. Where's the... Yeah, I guess that was kind of near their entry. Let me just see what else is being said. But let's see what this volume... I mean, will the buyers allow them to drop it? That's the question. All I can information. Markets and Momentum by James Dalton. Yes, I will order that book and actually I will give it a read because it does sound super interesting. So thanks for the knowledge sharing on footprints. Has been useful in scalping SPX calls this morning, even with a late start. Wish you were working on ES chart to get more direct confluence. Yeah, I can do the ES. The ES is actually better to trade, believe it or not. It's actually an easier footprint to read. I mean, what do you guys think? If you guys would rather me trade at ES, I chose Nasdaq because Nasdaq's a bit more entertaining. Do you know what I mean? Because it moves quicker. It's got a bit more entertainment to it, especially for live streams. I didn't want the live streams because a lot of trading is just sitting around and doing nothing essentially. So I wanted it to be, I didn't want to bore people. Do you know what I mean? And the ES can be a bit boring. So I chose Nasdaq because it's a bit more, active and lively. So entirely up to you guys. NQ, please. I prefer Nasdaq. I trade the ES, but it is really slow. Cheaper micros. ES can be choppy. ES, it's very 50-50 then, sure. NQ moves more and it is more entertaining. Sam, need help on DX feed. How to enter 2 micro NQ stop loss, 50 ticks target, 100 ticks. I could not put stop loss targets. So with DX Futures platform, the way you set your stop loss is you got to right click. So obviously I don't have it here, but right click. And then if you've entered okay, he didn't say which direction, but say you've entered a short, right? Then your stop loss would have to be a buy stop order, right? So you right click where you want the stop to be, and then you click buy stop. If you entered, and then your take profit would be on a short would be a buy limit order. Okay, so you right click and you click buy limit wherever you want it to be. That's how you set it in DX Futures. Okay, and then if you entered a long, it'd just be the opposite. So your stop loss would be a sell stop, and your take profit will be a sell limit. Okay, I know, but once you've set that, you can then drag it, right? So once you set it, then you're able to kind of drag the lines up and down and get more, add it exactly where you want. But it's a bit, I know it's a bit annoying that the platform doesn't give you an easier way just to set the stop loss and take profit. But so you got to do it quite manually. But if one of them gets triggered, you need to also remember to cancel the other order. Okay. So say, for example, you're short and your stop loss gets triggered, right? Then your take profit, which will be a buy limit, you got to make sure you cancel that buy limit, okay? Because it will still be technically a pending buy order, and if the market goes to that area, it will enter you in a buy. All right. I don't know who designed that platform and thought that was the most efficient way of setting stop losses and take profits, but yeah, it is what it is. I mean, some people like it. Fair play if you like it. Personally, I'm still waiting for Ninja Trader because obviously they offered like, oh, we can move your account to DX Futures now because that's available. I was like, I'd rather just trade demo for now on the live streams and I'll wait. I'll wait for Ninja Trader because it's just yeah. Because there's no point. Because by the time I have to switch over Ninja Trade, it's going to take it then another few days or whatever, and then it will interrupt. So I might as well just wait. NQ works better for me. Tried ES before, but went back to NQ. I saw your video, but not like Trading View or Ninja Trader. Yeah. Okay. So you did watch the video. Yeah. Gotcha. I can't wait for Ninja Trader and Trade of 8 DX Futures for straight to use. I agree, man. I agree. But it is coming very soon. Like we're on the final stages of getting it all approved, getting the licenses. Yeah. So very soon. But let's check out the chart. What's happened here? So these sellers did defend. That original seller is still in the freaking market. That one candle that happened, over an hour ago, because I pointed it out when it happened. I was like, this is very interesting. You got all that buy volume, still close bearish. That means big seller passively was in the market, and it happened in an instant, meaning it was like one chunk. It wasn't a cumulative kind of build up. These guys mean business, essentially. They're serious, and as we came back to the entry, they defended again. They are still willing to push this market down. I thought they're out the market and gave up now, but apparently not. But let's not forget the amount of buyers who were in that range. There's a big passive buyer, right? In that whole little small range we had earlier on, the sellers couldn't break them, right? Like even just the volume alone, we started the range at negative 3,800. And near the end of the range, we were negative 7,000. That was like over 3,000 sell contracts came in and still couldn't break that iceberg. That is a serious area. The buyers are also very, very serious. Collectively, they are very, very serious. So it really is a bit of a battle. I mean, it's a tough one. This is very because on one hand you got a big institutional seller, right, who's clearly in the market and protecting their interest, right? And then on the other hand, you also have a big institutional buyer passively who's not as aggressive as this seller, right? Like the way they come in, they're not as aggressive. They're breaking it up a bit more. And obviously it's not just going to be one big buyer. There's obviously going to be a few or collective, but on the sell side, there really is, there's clearly like just one institution that's very serious. because you can see that kind of sudden movement. They make the price jump quite aggressively. So they're dead serious. So you got two big entities basically at war. And it's hard to know which one you're going to place the bets on. I'm just trying to see if there's any clue. Like this, again, look. That seller is still absorbing these buyers. What scares me about that seller is how willing they are to put in size into the market, right? Like buyers are by far more efficient in this market. Yeah, much more efficient. I mean, you could just look at the volume alone, right? Buyers are far more efficient in the market. Like even this push up we had, it wasn't that much buy volume that caused that push up, and they were able to push it up quite a decent amount. It takes a lot more sell volume to push the market down. So in terms of efficiency, buyers are the more efficient side, and normally it would be smart to align yourself with the more efficient side of the market. So it would be a smarter play to align yourself with the buyers. But that's under normal conditions. When you have one, institution or maybe it's an algorithm, who knows, right? But one big player who's extremely aggressive, you don't know how big they're, how are you going to try call their bluff? They might just keep adding, and they could eventually break through. They could eventually win. It's going to be a nasty battle, but they could easily win. Not easily, maybe, but they. So that's why it makes me a little bit cautious to potentially be buying, because this market could jump down very quickly. Do you know what I mean? You can get these kind of very aggressive sell candles coming down, and oof, because you don't know when they could enter right now and just boom, push this market down a few points, quite a bit. They're a lot more unpredictable. They're a lot more chaotic. Oh shit! It's 4 o'clock. I have a interview I need to do. Kevin Beale. Oh Jesus. Okay, I am late for an interview. But I'll probably come back on after the interview. I do apologize. Damn, I completely lost track of time. I'm 1 minute late, but so I have to go really quick. But I will come back after the interview because this is a really interesting market right now, and I want to know who wins. So yeah, I will come back, and I'll see you guys probably in about an hour or so. Okay. So thank you all. Hopefully you join me in an hour. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.